We are the Green Team, and we are presenting Circadian Rhythms in Adolescents. Everyone has a circadian rhythm and is affected by it daily. It's a natural cycle that controls the times you feel awake and alert and the times you feel tired and want to sleep. Learning about your own circadian rhythm can help you become more productive and work smarter. Making little changes to your environment, such as lighting, can make a big difference. There are two types of chronotypes, late or early, which is the propensity for the organism to sleep at a particular time during the 24-hour circadian cycle. Chronotype has been proven to have an impact on students' academic performance, so they, along with teachers and administrators, should educate themselves on how to make teens' biological clocks align with school timing. To determine the chronotype of an organism, we use the MCTQ, which is a self-reported measurement of bed and wake times that then calculates the midpoint of sleep on free days. You'll see it used in studies referenced later, but a low score indicates an earlier chronotype and a higher score indicates a later chronotype. It's used in most studies. Early chronotypes mean that the organisms perform their best earlier in the day. They typically go to bed early and wake up early. It's usually found in older adults, but can occur in adolescents. Since most adults have earlier chronotypes, jobs and schools run on a schedule that aligns with these earlier waking times and sleeping patterns. Late chronotypes mean that the organisms perform worse in the morning and better in the afternoon. They typically have a higher daytime sleepiness compared to early chronotypes. They go to bed late and wake up late. It usually occurs in teens and young adults. Some studies, such as the one entitled "The Influence of Age and Sex," suggest this could be due to different hormone levels. This graph, taken from the study titled "Epidemiology of Human Circadian Clock," displays the different chronotypes during age range. This study used data from 55,000 people taking the MCTQ. You can clearly see the difference between young adults and adults. It is possible to adjust your chronotype through advancing and delaying your natural wake time. Morning exercise is proven to help. The study listed on the screen used 52 young sedentary adults and reported the time that their melatonin onset before and after 5 days of morning exercise. They were able to conclude that morning exercise can induce an earlier chronotype. Bright light can also help advance circadian rhythms in young adults. A study by Crowley and Eastman exposed 50 people to differing amounts of bright light each morning. They found that just 30 minutes of bright light can help phase advance human circadian rhythms, although 2 hours was optimal. The results are in this graph below. How loud music affects circadian rhythms is found in the study Control of Sleep and Wakefulness. Playing loud music in the morning immediately after awakening activates the reticular formation in the brain, leading to more excitatory activity, then ultimately leads you to being more awake and aware. Depending on the student's chronotype, academic performance can be affected negatively or positively. Depending on student chronotype and their social environment's clock around them, they can be prone to sleep deprivation. Mental stability is also affected by chronotype if it doesn't sync with the social clock. Graph A, B, and C, as you can see, suggests that those who are active at night or not active in the morning are more prone to mental disorders such as euthymic MDD, unipolar depression, euthymic bipolar, hypomanic, manic, and bipolar depression.
Academic performance. Chronotypes also affect academic performance differently. Students with early chronotypes are synced with the social clock of school and thus do better on exams, since early chronotypes generally perform better in the morning. Students with late chronotypes are unsynced with the social clock of school and therefore do worse on exams that are in the morning. The following slides provide data from graphs to support that chronotypes affect academic performance. Adolescents with early chronotypes do better on exams than late chronotypes. Since exams are typically taken earlier in the day, early chronotypes have an advantage over late chronotypes. When the exam times were pushed back to early afternoon rather than early or late morning, the exam scores between early and late chronotypes were closer together. This should be taken into account by administrators when making class schedules for students. These two figures summarize results from a study titled "The Relationship Between Chronotype and Academic Performance," which measured the grades and chronotypes of 523 students in secondary school in a variety of subjects. It concluded that later chronotypes are at a disadvantage in exams on scientific material when the exams occur in the morning. Some student recommendations are exercising before school. because the benefits of light and morning exercise help advance circadian rhythms. Getting light in the morning and listening to loud music on the way to school. A study done by Schwartz and Roth suggests that when waking up early in the morning and playing loud music increases the wakefulness and energy of the students. Work performance, depending on your chronotype, can be affected negatively or positively, as well as your attitude. Learning about chronotypes can help teachers and administrators understand their students more, which is beneficial to both parties. This can create less tension to promote problem solving when students cannot work well in the morning. Some teacher recommendations are scheduling exams for later in the day. This allows later chronotype students to fully wake up before their exams. When scheduled for the morning, late chronotypes are taking it during their sleeping period, which is unfair to them, creating an unfair advantage for earlier chronotypes. Some other teacher recommendations are opening windows in classrooms. This allows light to enter the classroom, which helps advance circadian rhythms in the students. Do outdoor classes in the morning if possible. Again, allows for more light exposure. Have exams be later in the day. Allows for later chronotypes to perform at their best, which gets rid of the unfair advantage that earlier chronotypes have over later chronotypes. Administrator recommendations. Schedule STEM classes for later in the day. As shown in the lower school performance and late chronotype study and graph, it is harder for students to take STEM classes in the morning versus humanities. Administrators should also recommend more windows in classrooms. If possible, put teams in classrooms with the max amount of light. Possible limitations. Early school times mean less time to exercise. Although morning exercise is very good for advancing circadian rhythms, it may not be practical depending on the school start time. However, many schools do start late enough, and even just a 20-minute walk can make a difference. The structure of the physical school building could prevent an ideal amount of natural light, which could limit the positive effects. References. Thank you for watching our presentation.